Hey, Cardinal family, I had four things I want to talk to you about. Before I even start, though, I want to acknowledge a couple different things. Number one, it's Friday. And number two, it's not just Friday, it's V Day, Vaccination Day, a day that many of us have been waiting for a long time. And there's probably a lot of weird feelings around it. I'm sure there's some elation and some anticipation. I'm also certain that there's probably some nerves and some anxiety. So if you've made it this far in the video and you're kind of overwhelmed today, just stop because there isn't anything in here that I haven't already said, or if it's the first time I'm going to say it, I'll repeat myself because I do that. If you are have other things you need to manage today, don't worry about the material here. We'll catch you up on it later. But if you're cool, thanks for not hitting pause and continuing to watch. Anyway, of the four things I wanted to talk to you about, first is a reminder. This is something I've already mentioned. On March 22nd, we do have our Marzano Standards-Based Planning Professional Development. On Wednesday of this week, I uploaded some documents to the Google Classroom, the CPS CIA FYI Google Classroom section. You'll need those materials for that professional development. It'd be great if you could just access them through your Chromebook, but if you are one of those die-hard paper people and you need to print it off, that's all right too. But just make sure that you have access to those. No need for you to preview them. Just be ready to have them. Next thing, speaking of professional development, on Monday, we just got our calendar approved at the Board of Education meeting for the next school year, and this is something we've put significant time and energy into. I advocated very strongly for getting rid of our 1:30 dismissals that were our afternoon PD days. I just don't think those are very effective, and I think we can do better. So in the new calendar, the only time we have a 1:30 dismissal is that first day with just kindergarten, 3rd, 6th, and 9th grade students. We have a 1:30 dismissal before we leave for winter break. We have a 1:30 dismissal the last day of school. Everything else that had been a 1:30 dismissal is now a full day. I think that's going to be way better for your learning when we engage in professional development. I think it's going to be way better for our ability to deliver good professional development. I'll talk more about it later, but just so you know, that calendar got approved, so that's how we're going to rule for next school year. Next thing I want to talk about, I was in a classroom, middle school classroom this week, Kelly's, teaching art, and I love work time in art, family consumer science, industrial technology, courses of those nature, because it really hits a sweet spot for me. Great learning goals posted. The students were absolutely working on the learning goals, but what I loved is that there was diligent work, observable engagement in the learning goals. The students were demonstrating, practicing those skills, moving towards greater proficiency and mastery of those skills while still engaging in conversation. One of the students in there was talking about what Elvis songs are actually legit while she's painting. Definitely focused on her work and gaining greater proficiency and working towards mastery. Yet at the same time, we are kind of relaxed. I'm a big fan of a phrase, and I think I've probably used this before. Larry Miller taught me this: the brain that functions best is mildly stressed. Meaning, we want our student brains stressed just a little bit, enough for them to be concerned that they have to get it right, but not so concerned that they have anxiety. Also, if they're not stressed enough, then we lose interest and we lose engagement. So that sweet spot is the brain that functions best is mildly stressed. Just a call back quick. I really don't think on those 1:30 dismissals for professional development, we had teacher brains that were mildly stressed. I think we had teacher brains that were overly stressed and they don't learn well. Part of the reason why we're going to a full day instead of just a 1:30 dismissal for professional development. Anyway, so Kelly was doing a great job in that class, using great proximity and making sure her students were on task, which they all were. And again, they're moving towards the learning goal. The observable engagement is there, but it's appropriately relaxed that they can engage in some other conversation. And this is going to sound strange, but it reminded me of one of my favorite books about education, Bruce Lee's Jeet Kune Do. I have read this book so many times. And like in the middle, there's a ton of stuff about throwing kicks and punches and dropping people on their heads. But in the beginning, there are so many things that are just about teaching technique. And if it's teaching technique, it's just teaching. And one of my favorite quotes in here, and I think I saw this in that middle school art classroom, page 25. Boy, I have this highlighted and underlined in red. Turn your sparring into play, but play seriously. And that is something as a teacher I strove for in the classroom. Turn your sparring into play, but play seriously. Sparring, that's just another word for practice. It's just another word for engaging in activity that moves us towards mastery of the skill. So turn your sparring into play, meaning it should be fun and it should be engaging and it should be the kind of thing where students want to participate in it. And then Bruce follows it up with play seriously. Know that while you are doing this, you're doing this for a reason. You are moving yourself towards a learning goal. The thing that our students are doing for practice, we should strive to make that like play. Now, that doesn't mean we're being silly and off task. It means that practice is engaging for our brains. Turn your sparring into play, make your practice engaging for the brains. But while we were doing that, make sure we play seriously. Meaning that while we're doing that, know the reason. Know what that learning goal is. Know that we are striving for greater proficiency and mastery. It might sound strange that I saw lessons from Bruce Lee's Jeet Kune Do, seminal martial arts technique book, in a middle school art classroom, but family, good teaching is good teaching. Doesn't matter if it's brush strokes or left hooks. So, all right. Thanks for hanging with me on that odd segue. Oh, I almost forgot. Said I was going to talk to you about 4 things. Completely self-serving what I'm about to say. Did you guys hear that I had a baby in a Honda? Like my wife gave birth to a baby in a Honda and I was standing in the parking lot with the door open, catching the baby in the Honda. My world will never be the same. If we're ever hanging out, you can get the long story, but that's all you get for now. All right. Thanks, Coden family. Good luck with that shot in the arm today. We're all going to get healthy. It's going to be a good thing. Have a great weekend.